before we ever talk about what's under the hood, let me tell you something. The moment you walk up to this car in a parking lot, it hits you. Not in an aggressive way, not in a look at me way, just presence. The kind of presence that makes people stop and look twice. I've seen it happen. In 1 week of having this car, more than a few people walked up and asked, "What is this thing?" That's the 2026 Lexus LX700H. And today we're doing a proper walk-around front. Sides, rear, wheels, and then inside, every detail. No fluff, just what's actually there, and what it actually feels like. Let's start at the front. Standing right here at the front of the car, the first thing that takes over your entire field of view is that grille. Lexus calls it the spindle grille, and in photos it looks big. In person, it is massive. It stretches wide and tall across the entire front face of the car, and it has a presence that is genuinely hard to ignore. The mesh pattern inside it is tight and well finished. Not cheap looking, not plasticky. It feels like it belongs on something expensive, because it is on something expensive. Now flanking that grille on both sides are the triple beam LED headlights. And I want to be specific here because LED headlights is a term that gets thrown around on every car nowadays. These are not just LED headlights. These are triple beam units, meaning 3 separate beam functions built into one housing. Standard headlight, high beam, and a separate LED daytime running light strip that wraps along the inner edge. At night, the throw of light is wide and clear. During the day, those DRL strips give the front face a distinctive signature that you can spot from a distance. Below the headlights, the lower bumper runs wide and purposeful. On the standard trims, you get chrome finish accents on the lower bumper. But on the F-Sport handling trim with the new 2026 appearance package, which is a brand new addition this year, those chrome elements are replaced with color-keyed lower bumper accents, meaning they match the car's body color, cleaner, sharper, more intentional looking. On the Overtrail trim, the front bumper has a different character entirely. It's more rugged. There's a front skid plate underneath a real one, made to protect the underbody when you take this thing off-road. The grille on Overtrail gets a matte gray finish instead of chrome. Black door handles, a more aggressive, purposeful, overall look. The hood itself is sculpted, not flat. There's a raised center section with lines that run from the base of the windshield all the way down to the front edge of the hood. It gives the car visual mass and forward momentum even when it's standing still. One more detail at the front that I want to point out, the front parking sensors are integrated cleanly into the lower bumper. And the forward-facing camera for the 360-degree system is hidden in the Lexus badge at the center of the grille. You'd never notice it unless you were looking for it. Walking around to the side, the first thing that registers is just how big this car actually is. The numbers, 200.5 inches long, 78 inches wide, 75 inches tall. Wheelbase is 112.2 inches. These are serious dimensions. 8. This is a full-size body-on-frame SUV, and it does not pretend otherwise. The roofline is high and squared off, not the sloped, coupe-like profile you see on crossovers trying to look sporty. This is a proper, upright SUV silhouette. And from the side, it works. It looks solid, substantial, purpose-built. Character lines run along the lower body from the front wheel arch to the rear. They're not subtle, there's a defined crease that creates a shadow line and gives the body visual structure. Above that, the greenhouse, the window area is tall enough to feel open inside without feeling glassy or fragile from the outside. The door handles are chrome finish on standard trims. On the Overtrail, they're black. On the F-Sport appearance package, black mirror covers replace the body-colored mirrors, another detail that sharpens the Over. Oh look, now the wheels. And this is where things get interesting, depending on which trim you're looking at. The premium trim runs on 2 0-inch wheels, with a multi-spoke design and a silver finish. The luxury trim steps up to 2 2-inch wheels, and in person, that extra 2 inches makes a noticeable difference to the stance. The car sits lower to the ground visually, looks more planted. The Overtrail is completely different. It runs 1/8-inch wheels in a matte gray finish. But here's the thing, those 1/8-inch wheels are wrapped in 3 3-inch Toyo Open Country all-terrain tires. The smaller wheel diameter is intentional. More sidewall means better cushioning off-road, better resistance to punctures on rocky terrain, and more ground clearance. Those tires sit out from the body slightly, and on the overtrail, black over-fenders plastic cladding around all four wheel arches cover that extra width. It makes the overtrail look genuinely tough in a way that's not just visual. The running boards are standard and they're functional. This car sits high enough that most people need them to step up comfortably. On the F-Sport appearance package, color-keyed running board accents replace the standard finish. On overtrail, the running boards are more rugged in design to match the rest of the trim. Roof rails run along the top. Standard trims get silver finish rails. Overtrail gets dark gray rails, another small detail that pulls the whole look together consistently. Moving to the rear, the element that defines this car's identity from the back is the full-width blade tail lamp. One continuous LED light bar stretches all the way across the rear of the vehicle, from left to right, connecting both taillights. It's clean, it's modern, and it's distinctive. At night, it creates a signature that you recognize from a distance. Combined with the Lexus lettering spelled out in individual block letters across the tailgate, not a badge, actual individual letters, the rear has a premium, confident feel. The rear bumper has chrome finish accents on standard trims. On the F-Sport appearance package, rear bumper accents are color-keyed to match the body. On the overtrail, the rear bumper has a more protective, rugged finish, consistent with its off-road character. Rear parking sensors are integrated into the bumper. The rear camera sits above the license plate recess. And the trailer hitch, optional but available, tucks cleanly underneath the rear bumper when not in use. Ground clearance at the rear is 8 inches standard. The adjustable air suspension can raise this further when needed for off-road use, a feature we'll come back to when we talk about capability. One thing you might notice at the rear on the overtrail is the spare tire. On a standard LX, the spare sits in the underfloor area at the rear. On the 700H overtrail, Lexus actually repositioned the spare tire internally using what they call a spare tire cross to make room for the hybrid battery pack in the rear floor. The departure angle at the rear is preserved despite this change, which matters for off-road use. Opening the door, the first thing that hits you is a smell. Genuine leather. Not synthetic, not imitation. The seats on most trims are semi-aniline leather, which is a higher grade than standard coated leather. Softer to the touch, more natural feeling. On the luxury and ultra-luxury trims, massaging front seats are standard. The dashboard layout is organized around 3 screens. The instrument cluster behind the steering wheel is an 8-inch digital display. It's configurable, you can change the layout between different driving modes. And in Sport S Plus mode, it shifts to a more dynamic display with a large tachometer. Clear, high resolution, 0 lag. In the center of the dashboard sits the main 3-inch Lexus interface touchscreen. This handles navigation, media, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, both wireless phone, settings, everything. Response is smooth. Wireless CarPlay works reliably. One honest note, the interface takes a few minutes to learn. It's not as immediately intuitive as what you get in a Mercedes or BMW, but once you know where things are, it works fine. Below the main touchscreen is a separate 7-inch display for climate controls. Having a dedicated climate screen means you're not digging through submenus to adjust the temperature. You touch the climate screen, you change the temperature, done. Practical. So that's the full walkaround on the 2026 Lexus LX700H. Standing back and looking at it, it's a car that doesn't chase trends. It doesn't have a coupe roofline, it doesn't have flush door handles trying to look futuristic, it doesn't have a cabin full of screens for the sake of screens. What it has is real material quality, a design that's bold without being loud, and a cabin that's been thought through for actual use, rather than showroom impressions. The triple beam LEDs, the full-width rear light bar, the open-pore wood, the refrigerated console, the 3-screen layout, these are specific decisions made for specific reasons, and most of them work. It's not perfect. The infotainment takes some getting used to. The reduced cargo space behind the third row is a real trade-off from the hybrid battery. And at $116,685 for the overtrail, you are paying a significant premium over most of its competitors. But as a physical object standing in front of it, sitting inside it, the 2026 Lexus LX700H feels exactly like what it's supposed to be, a flagship, built to last, and built to be used. If you want the performance breakdown and the off-road numbers that's coming in the next video, like this one if the walkaround helped. Subscribe to Pro Cars. See you there.